Welcome to Mom of 18. Today I have hit the halfway mark in the 75 Hard Challenge, and I'm here to tell you all about it. Andy Frisella is the person who came up with the 75 Hard Challenge, and it's called that for a reason. It is really hard. First things first, I have links below to a description of the 75 Hard as well as a podcast that Andy Frisella did about 75 Hard. I jumped into his program because I wanted something different. I realized I had put on about 13 pounds in a 1-year period of time. I had signed up for two completely different 1-month memberships with two separate people that were fitness experts to help me lose weight. That's how this all started. I spent about $70 there, about $35 for each one of them. Did a month with one, a couple months later, did a month with someone else with no results. In February of 2004, at the age of 33, I had a hysterectomy. It was my 7th pregnancy. I lost twins at 19 weeks. All in all, including infertility, I had had 10 surgeries and 7 pregnancies, 11 years of breastfeeding. There are no bragging rights there. That was just the reality of my situation. Going through that hysterectomy on me physically was tough. When it was done, I decided I wanted to get my body back. I was done getting pregnant, having babies, breastfeeding. So I hired a trainer. I was not only in some fitness competitions, but I actually won. I was featured in 2 magazines. Although fitness competitions weren't a goal for me originally, and I didn't end up doing them long term, it was really fun and it got me back into a very healthy state. I learned how to track my food. I really got a handle on where I wanted to be and how I wanted to look. Having said that, it was the lowest body fat percentage I've probably ever been, except before kids when I was like 19. But as far as keeping track of it, that was the lowest, was in 2005. I was somewhere between 11 and 13% body fat. It's not something that I wanted to maintain long term. It was very difficult. Lots of exercise, really strict eating, cooking 2 meals at dinner because I had to eat something completely different. Lots of meal prepping. From 2005 until now in 2020, so 15-year track record, it's been a lot easier for me to keep track of my food, diet, my exercise, and where I want to be as far as weight, body fat percentage, and my measurement. Whether you measure this in pounds or body fat or inches and measurements, I wasn't where I wanted to be. After I had signed up for those 2 1-month programs and kind of gotten nowhere, I was really discouraged. For 15 years, I've pretty much been doing the same types of things, and the only time I ever gained weight was when I broke my foot and I was in a boot for 6 months. Not only was I curious about why and what was going on with my body, but I really wanted to make some changes. I also have learned about myself that when something's a little off in one area, it spills over into other areas. Where in 2019, I freelanced 100% for the first year of launching my business. I didn't have to go into any other companies. I felt a little stuck in that realm also. I was surfing YouTube one day and a suggested video came up, and this woman's tagline was that she lost 20 pounds by doing 75 Hard Challenge. I had no idea what 75 Hard was. I learned that 75 Hard is actually more of mental discipline. Andy Frisella knows that only 1% of the people that start it will actually finish, which is incredibly low. The other thing is that he's very intense and almost military in how he sounds from my perspective, but he wants people to succeed. He's not expecting you to become like him. He's expecting you to become a better version of yourself. And I loved this program. This is a list of what is included in this program. And again, what I loved about it was that it was about mental toughness, where weight loss or getting into better shape is kind of a byproduct of all the things you're doing, not specifically just for weight loss. A huge part of Andy's 75 Hard program is that if you miss any one thing on any one day, you start it over. This isn't a justification to go against his guidelines. This was how I wanted to do it because I was already feeling a little discouraged and I really, really wanted to do better. I decided to do the whole 75 days and to keep a calendar. I printed off a calendar. I have it posted on my wall. I cross off each individual day as it happens. My decision was to do this challenge and write down what I missed and when I missed it in the 75 days so I could see really more what I wanted to work on. I didn't want to miss something and start over, feel like a failure, keep starting at day one. And I know that that is part of the mental toughness. I wanted to get through the 75 days and figure out where were the hiccups. I made a couple changes when I started the 75 hard challenge. One, I completely stopped all of my supplements. All the supplements that I take and the benefits that they provide are listed below, but I wanted to stop absolutely everything. I also stopped using protein bars and protein shakes. Although I use super healthy ingredients, I really wanted to start off with a clean slate. Very cool thing happened. I was waking up 3 to 5 times a night with hot flashes. I started taking black cohosh, one in the morning and one at night, and that meant I was having one, maybe two at night. Then I stopped all of my supplements, every single one of them, and within 2 weeks I realized I was having no hot flashes at all. At the 2-week point, I decided to add the supplements back in, but I did go through each one of them to determine which ones I really needed, what were the most healthy, what were the most beneficial, and I didn't need to take black cohosh anymore because I just was not having hot flashes. I did notice, and I mentioned this in my 30-day water video also, that my skin was more dry than usual, so I got better lotion. Sometimes I think I'm a genius. Right before I hit my 30-day mark, I was at a women entrepreneur group and I won a prebiotic and a probiotic. The first thing I got was called Reboot. It's 3 days that kind of balances out your gut health. And after that 3 days, I started using the probiotic. From day 30, 31, and 32, I did the Reboot. And then from day 33 for the last almost week, I've been taking the new probiotic and prebiotic. I haven't noticed much of a change from that, but I'll keep you posted on it. I do think it's something that's important. So now, after being halfway through hitting day 37, I'm going to tell you on each one of these categories how I did. Reading 10 pages of a book. I was so excited about this. This is one of the things that really, really sold me on this program. I don't have tons and tons and tons of books in physical form, but I have some and I have a Kindle. I get books that I really want to read because of the self-improvement and the development, or because a podcast guest has written a book and I want to support them. And then I don't read them. It's been something on my to-do list for years. I don't set New Year's resolutions, but I do set constant goals. And this is one where I felt like I've always wanted to do it, but I'm just not getting it done. Interestingly enough, just having accountability from deciding that I'm going to do the 75 hard gave me the kick in the ass that I needed to read 10 pages a day. Not only did I read 10 pages a day of a book, I have read 5.5 books in my first 37 days. As with a lot of the things on the list in this challenge, I wanted to change my lifestyle and create habits, and this one has been amazing. Next on the list is the daily progress photo. That one was harder for me in the beginning. I realized after a couple days that I hadn't taken an intentional picture, but fortunately, since I send goofy pictures to my husband, and I also send pictures very frequently and video to my best friend when we're messing around, I didn't miss a day of the progress photo. But I had to actually realize after the first week or so that I had to do it with more intention. I did take a before picture, like in a tank top and underwear, and I didn't want to take a picture like that every single day, but at least of my face. So I got that one done. 1 gallon of water a day. I did do a video on my first 30 days of drinking 1 gallon of water. I have not missed a day of drinking a gallon of water a day. The first 4 days, I felt like I was drowning. And after that, it kind of got easier. Now it's just sort of after 37 days, part of my life, and doesn't seem like that big of a deal. I actually finish it sometimes and I'm still thirsty. I do add electrolytes, but this one was one I thought was going to be an issue, that it was going to be a real struggle long term. And honestly, within that first week, it became pretty easy and I've never missed. No alcohol. Here's the thing about me and alcohol. I like it. I want it. It tastes good. I have never been a big drinker, and one of the big reasons is that I don't like all the empty calories. I feel like if I'm going to have calories, I'd rather have them be in my food than in the alcohol. Having said that, I do love the feeling of being a little tipsy and taking that edge off. So there's a balance for me. It's something that I do occasionally. On January 20th, I started this challenge, but I hadn't had a drink since the 5th or 6th of January. And I know that because I was in San Antonio with my daughter. I probably go weeks and weeks and weeks without having a drink. I worried that by telling myself I couldn't, it would make it more difficult, but honestly, that's not really a huge struggle for me. I'm glad I don't have any empty calories from that. I know when the challenge is over, I'll keep myself to the same standard as I did before the challenge, where it's something that I do occasionally and it's a moderation thing. I've been 100% successful on that one too. 2 workouts a day, one of them outside. I was dreading this. I run 3 times a week outside with a running group. It is winter. This morning I went, it was 26 degrees. I run in the teens, I run in bad weather. This was exciting to me though on a couple levels. One, although I was running 3 times a week, I didn't go every single time, every single week. And also I would do some body weight exercises at home. So I would say on average, I was working out 3 to 5 times a week total every single week, very regularly. I also have a dog that happens to love going for walks, and I was taking her maybe once a week. When I read about this part of the challenge and one had to be outside, I was part thankful and part dreading it. I do not like cold weather. I freaking hate winter. The other workout I did inside and body weight. One thing I really love that Andy stresses is that you get to pick what you want. This isn't balls to the wall, all out, interval training, crazy. You can set the pace. So where one of my exercises a day is 45 minutes of walking my dog, not super strenuous. So I still am out there burning calories, getting exercise. The interesting thing that I found is that even though it's cold weather, there have been many, 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 many days in the 37 days that both of my workouts have been outside, even though it's cold. I also found that I preferred it when both my exercises were outside. So 2 workouts a day, 1 outside, 45 minutes each. The other kind of interesting thing is that in 37 days, I have missed 2 workouts. There were 2 days I did not get 2 workouts in. I've gotten 1 workout in every single day for 37 days, but on 2 days, I did miss a workout, but it wasn't an outside workout. It was my second workout, which could have been indoors. Staying on a diet and no cheating. Again, Andy tells you, pick whatever diet you want and stick to it. Just like with exercise, this can be a super intense situation. You could pick a diet that makes it very difficult. I knew from when I was doing the fitness competitions that I did not want to make 2 separate meals, 2 separate grocery lists, make this super hard. Again, a huge part of why I was doing this is because I wanted to do something I could maintain and create habit. I decided my diet would be intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, something I had played around with a little bit. I knew that it was something I could be successful with. I wanted intermittent fasting to be 5 out of the 7 days. I was concerned about weekends for 2 reasons. Saturday mornings are my long run, and if I'm running 9 miles, early in the morning, I was a little concerned about that next few hours before I got a chance to eat. The other thing is Sunday, it's the only day we don't set the alarm. We still are early morning risers, but I wanted to be able to spend that time with my family. The interesting thing here is that I have only not done intermittent fasting out of 37 days 2 times. With the intermittent fasting, I use the 16-8 strategy where I don't eat for 16 hours and then I eat for 8 hours. We try to eat dinner early, 5 to 5:30 p.m. There are 2 reasons for this. The first one is that we go to bed early because we get up early. If I'm up at 4:30 and I'm in bed at 8:30, I like to have about 3 hours between when I eat last and when I go to bed. Just a buffer before my body slows down. The other reason is that when I get up at 4:30 and I go running, I'm not going half of the day without eating. It ended up being a lot easier to do the intermittent fasting on the weekends than I thought it was, even though I gave myself kind of free pass on that one. So intermittent fasting hasn't been much of a problem. I've pretty much decided that weekends are included and I'll do it 7 days a week. Another reason I chose intermittent fasting because we eat 100% organic, all grass-fed beef, all free-range chicken. We eat a really, really clean diet. I still cook 99% of all meals. And our 10-year-old daughter was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis over a year ago. So our diet is almost completely gluten-free and we use very little dairy. What I was conscious of, the volume of food I'm eating, how much food we eat that's prepared, and what are the sugar levels? Prepared food was a rabbit hole. I buy a certain kind of bread, and yes, it's processed. When Dane and I started looking into this, there are processed foods that have only a few ingredients. You know and understand what each ingredient is. It kind of has to be processed. I'm not growing my own wheat and grinding it to make my bread. So in that sense, I wasn't concerned about processed food. It's that next step in processed foods where it's more ultra processed or has more processing, or if they use anything that enhances flavors or lots of preservatives. So that was the stuff I was really careful of. I just think it's outstanding, the stuff that kind of sneaks into your house that you like and you don't really think much about it. So I wanted to be very conscious of removing as much of that from the house as we could during this process, and also making sure that if we have something like that, I'm just not eating it. The other issue was sugar. I've never really had a big problem with sugar. I didn't think it was much of an issue because sugar is one of the triggers to inflammation. So I have to be really careful of that with our daughter. Again, I cook most of our food, or the kids do, so I can control the type of sugar that goes into it and the volume and make sure that we lower it as much as possible. What I did notice about intermittent fasting is that I can go the 16 hours, break my fast, have my breakfast. 3 more hours go by. It's time for lunch, so I eat lunch. Then something interesting happens. Once lunch is done, in that space between lunch and dinner is when I just want to eat because I want to eat. This was great feedback and information for me, so I would know where I was consuming more calories, or maybe a less healthy option would go into my mouth. And it's always great to have more information on kind of how you function. Again, this is a mental toughness challenge, so I wanted to learn more about myself in the process. When I started the challenge and I jumped into intermittent fasting, I didn't have a ton of information. So in that first week, I was learning a lot. One thing that I learned is about coffee in the morning. Basically, it comes down to this. You drink your coffee black, and it can't have more than 35 calories. I looked up the information on my coffee and realized, holy cow, I was not doing this right. So at the 1 week mark, I changed to black coffee, which I really didn't like very much. And then I kind of narrowed it down. Black coffee is about 2 calories on average, and a quarter cup of almond milk is about 7 calories. This meant that for under 10 calories, I could have my coffee with just a little bit of almond milk, and no big deal, I'm way below the 35 calories. What this did was it made it so that I was drinking less coffee when I first got up in the morning, but I had another cup of coffee when I broke my fast later in the day. And I was happy about this because it's how I dissolve my collagen and my prebiotic and probiotic. I dump the powder in my coffee and drink it all at the same time. By having a half a cup to 3/4 of a cup in the morning, and then having around the same amount when I broke my fast with everything added into it, I was actually drinking less coffee in a day overall than I was before the challenge. Now, to recap, most of the things in this challenge I have not had an issue with. I've actually enjoyed it tremendously, and I'm really excited because these are changes that are long-term changes and good habits to have. Should I have started the challenge over the 2 times I missed my indoor workout? Maybe I should have started over after the first week when I realized I was drinking coffee incorrectly. I really like the way I'm doing it. I'm excited about the results. Here's the only downside for me. Whether you track how good you look by the number on the scale, or by body fat percentage, or by your measurements. I have all 3 of those numbers. I started this 13 pounds up, 5% body fat, and my numbers are all about an inch higher, waist, hips, thighs, than I would like them to be. I expected that with the gallon of water and the intermittent fasting and going to black coffee, not having any alcohol, I would drop down that weight. I got on the scale this morning, day 37. My numbers have not moved. Not at all. Like, they're exactly the same as they were when I started the challenge. One thing I did learn is that most people who do intermittent fasting don't start losing weight until about the 4-week point, which I've just passed. The biggest thing I have to remember is that this challenge is mostly for mental toughness, and the weight loss and getting in better shape is a side effect of that, and I'm only halfway done. I cannot wait to tell you about what happens after day 75, how many times I've screwed up, mostly how much I've been successful. If you're thinking about doing a challenge that can get you in better shape, but also help make really long-lasting, permanent changes in your life, look into it. All the links are below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.